Hello aqua friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Nicole and today we are going to do this beautiful sun-kissed bokeh effect beach scene. Some of the colors that I'm going to use are quinacridone scarlet or quinacridone coral works really well, and raw sienna. And I do have cerulean blue, phthalo blue red shade, mineral violet, burnt umber, Van Dyke brown, sepia, neutral tint, and burnt sienna. I have a water bottle, a fluffy brush that I'm going to be using for blending. Of course, a good 1.5 inch flat is perfect for this project. I have a size 12, an 8, a 6, or a 4 for some detail work, and a lifting brush. So my first layer is going to be a wet on wet background. We're going to put in all the different shapes and the colors that we chose. So it's a very soft corally sky with a little blue on the top. And I like to use this fluffy brush to blend things out. It has a very pastel-y effect when you do that. And putting in the beach colors on the sand. So while my paper is wet, I'm just concerned about putting in and establishing the colors where they need to go and the shapes. Adding in some browns for the sand, a little bit of texture with a toothbrush. Getting some of the shadows underneath those waves. Everything is still very nice and soft because the paper is very wet still. So working back at the top of the paper and putting in my mountain range, my paper is drying and I now have nice hard edges to make these mountains. Your first layer, of course, is not going to be as dark. To get that vibrant sun-kissed color I was looking for, I ended up using my transparent pyrrole orange for the brightest parts of this rocky area, along with my burnt sienna. Now the sun rays are very well defined in this reference photo, so whenever I am working on this mountain area, I have to lift the colors that I just put on in order to establish these sun rays. So with my lifting brush and a piece of tissue, I'm just following my reference photo and adding in these sun rays. Now there are some bokeh lights and I am using my dauber to lift up these areas. So as you can see, it's a lot of work to lift these out. It takes some time. Using a fan brush there just to blend it a little bit, have a nice soft wispy effect. Adding in the foreground rocky areas. They're the most darkest rocks in the reference photo, so I am working mostly with sepia and some warm undertones to make these. Now there is a large circular sun flare on the right hand side, and I thought it was kind of cool, so I wanted to include that. So I just drew a half circle there. Now once everything dries, I'm going through and I'm lifting some of the areas I need to touch up. So going in with a dusty blue mixture just to draw in some of the waves that I'm seeing. And along the shoreline. Sort of dry brushing some of the waves in the distance. I'm wetting the sand area and I'm putting in more of those purpley tones. Establishing the sandy areas. And putting in some fine details of the pebbles and wet areas of the sand. Now I knew I had to darken up that background mountain range And so I'm putting in more sepia glaze over top of everything. And once I do that, I have to get my sun rays back, and so I'm lifting again. Lots of lifting involved. Wetting that main mountain formation so that I could add some more darker colors to that area as well. I was hoping I could just kind of paint around the sun rays. That wasn't really working out too good. It just didn't look natural, and so I decided just to wet the whole area and just go for the really dark colors that I needed to add in there. Putting a second coat of the color on the background mountains area as well. A little bit of dry brushing on the shore for the wet sand area. Getting those sun rays back in there by lifting again. I'm lifting some of the white foamy areas in the sea to get some of my highlights back onto the waves. Second layer on the foreground rocky area that is the darkest rocks in the reference photo. So realizing that trying to paint around the sun rays doesn't really work out very well, I am just going for the really dark color that I need for these main rocky areas. Putting in the shadow in that foreground rocky area. Working on the shadows of the wave. And putting in those distant waves. Getting back my sun rays by lifting. Using my daubers to get the bokeh lights back as well in the mountains. There's also some very faint bokeh pinks from the sun flare from the camera when it took the picture. So I'm just trying to get those warm areas in as well. So I'm decided to add another layer on the sky to get a little bit more warmth in the sky and a little bit more contrast where that light source is. Putting in my peachy colors and my blues. Lifting and fluffy brush to get that very soft effect. And then I'm just going to make sure I wipe it down well so we don't get any back runs, and let the whole thing dry. Once it's dry, you can take your tape off and you are finished. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you like my artwork, please subscribe and hit that notification bell, and I will see you next week.